Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, this is part 2 of Trump's really bad, awful, no good, terrible September 8th. The video I just put up was about the appeals court rejecting his appeal to pay E. Jean Carroll $83.3 million in the second court case, first one filed for E. Jean Carroll, to which Trump and his team are threatening to go to the Supreme Court with. The other big drop happened when the House Oversight Committee received Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday collection of cards recently, and they released those today. And part of that 50th birthday album was the picture that was reported in the Wall Street Journal, showing a woman's figure with some words in the middle and Donald Trump's signature at the bottom where her pubic area would be. Of interest in this AP article is that the letter that Donald Trump purportedly wrote in the 50th birthday album, that letter was one of many. The Full House Committee on Monday night released a copy of the entire album, which bore the names of some other prominent figures, such as President Bill Clinton, attorney Alan Dershowitz, in a, quote, friends, unquote, section, included other letters with sexually provocative language. I don't believe they say who else did something like that. Caroline Levitt says, as I've said all along, it's very clear President Trump did not draw this picture. He did not sign it, and his legal team will aggressively pursue the litigation. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich posted various pictures on X of Trump's signature over the years and wrote, "It's not his signature. It's not his signature. I've seen Donald Trump sign a million things," said Representative Byron Donalds of Florida. Thomas Massey weighed in. He goes, "This doesn't prove anything. Having a happy birthday card from Trump doesn't help the survivors and the victims." But it's interesting because this is the hill Donald Trump is choosing to die on. He's going to fight this thing. Now, I did see, and I think it was another article, or maybe as a TikTok video, where they talked about the signature, because the signature on this one is a bit different. It's got a little bit more curves, like in the opening D and in the letters in general. It's not quite as sharp. And it doesn't write Trump at the end. It's Donald, and there's a long line at the end of it. But in the mid-90s, people said Donald Trump did sign his name that way, and then they provided examples. Typically, if he only signed Donald, it was for somebody he knew or he was friends with. And then they showed examples of like a book that he signed for a friend of his, saying, "You're the greatest." And it's Donald with the long line after the final D in Donald. And the first D is much more rounded than his typical signature. And that thing I saw, they showed about 3 examples of Donald signing his name that way. So saying it's not his signature or the way he writes it, that's not going to fly. It's not going to hold water. And I'm sure some handwriting experts could testify to that. Does it matter? Not really. It just shows that, Donald Trump, I maybe now we'll look into this to see why is he trying to die on this hill. It does show a curved woman. We know Donald Trump drew pictures. He used to do doodlings and use them, donate them for a charity event so people could sell them to raise money for charity. So, why would you lie? What does it get you? But he lies all the time, so who knows what it gets him. So let's find out. Come on down. Happy birthday, Mr. Epstein. What's going on with Trump? The energy around Trump and this birthday card. What's driving this man so bananas? 6 of Swords. I think it's because it's a reminder of something he's trying to distance himself. He wants this thing to die down. But the thing is, he fights everything, and everything's fake news, and it brings the news right back up again. He desperately wants this thing to die down. Crossed with, what's the challenge? I think he's afraid it's going to erode the support of the Republican Party, because right now, he's got his edict that don't you dare release vote to release all the Epstein files. And when this comes out, after he's threatened to sue Rupert Murdoch for like $20 billion over this, and then it comes out to Congress, and Congress releases it, and there it is, a picture just described like the Wall Street Journal article, a woman's figure, and there's a poem in the middle, and Donald Trump's name is signed where her pubic area would be. Underneath it all is temperance, detoxification. He hasn't learned the lesson that if you just sometimes you have to ignore things to let it detoxify. But he's usually the master of distraction, but he's bringing all the attention back on himself. Ace of Cups. This is like a humiliation to him. He can't help himself. I was just watching an interview where Mary Trump was talking about her father when her father was a child, as was Donald, and the whole dumping the bowl of mashed potatoes on Donald's head. And Donald Trump, from that point on, has always tried to avoid any form of humiliation while humiliating everybody around him. And I think that's what it is. For some reason, this is humiliating to him. And he can't handle it. Yeah, look, Six of Swords wants the things to go away. Four of Swords just wants this to die down. Let it go, let it rest. But he's the one who keeps stirring the pot. Overarching energy is the Eight of Wands. Things are happening quick. Things are getting broadcast. Maybe in some ways, things are coming at Donald so quick from so many different angles. He can't come up with enough distractions. And you think about this. This Epstein case has now been in the news for like 2 months straight. He can't shake it. Whenever he starts shaking it, no, he shook it by not being in the news for a week and causing people to say, did he have a health event? Which I think he did. But now that he's back, so's the Epstein stuff. Congress didn't get it. Congress didn't get it out of the zeitgeist. Lesson we learned is the Strength card. He's showing anything but strength. He's showing weakness. He's not showing mastery. He's showing weakness on this one. And it all comes tumbling down. For some reason, Donald Trump understands, maybe he understands his base better than we do. I'm sure he does. That if he can't calm this thing down, put this thing to sleep, detoxify it, it's going to be his downfall. And for some reason, this picture, maybe he thought this would be the easiest thing to defend by going after Rupert Murdoch, threatening a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit that he could shut everybody up and intimidate them into silence, thinking that maybe this stuff would never get released. But now that, here's the thing, it's been released. It's there for everybody to see. And it's exactly as described in the article, which makes Donald Trump look like the liar that he is. And it undermines his credibility. Something that if he could get people to believe that this was fake, he could probably, go down the path of getting them to believe bigger and bigger lies. Start with the small lie, even if it's easily disproven. Well, it's now been disproven, so now they're trying to say it's not his signature. And that's not going to work either. The lie about him being an FBI informant didn't work either. A snitch, stool pigeon, drop a dime on a former friend. Yeah, that's all believable. Five of coins. Okay, fine, you can stay out. You're worried about losing money or losing influence. Another one was just about to jump out too. What's the next question here? I'm gonna put the five coins. Gotta put it back in the deck here. Not on the bottom. Not on the top. That anxiety that people are going to find out about him. And I think that's maybe it, is that it may not be this album, but this is just kind of like that first step of, okay, yeah, we know he drew it, and we know that's his signature, and it's kind of like a step, instead of being a step to disbelief, it's a step to belief. And then people will start going down the path the wrong direction. Not the direction he wants them to go down. What is his biggest concern? Maybe I should ask that. What's Donald Trump's biggest concern of this getting out? If he loses this fight, if he loses his ability to convince his supporters that this is fake, what's his biggest concern for Carter? It's like he's going to lose his ability to control him. The lack of integrity. It's almost like the spell gets broken. Ace of Pentacles. Nine of Wands. The Magician. Yeah, it's like the secrets are getting out and he's losing control of the narrative. He can't create the illusions, and then on top of it, because here's the evidence, and the evidence is pretty irrefutable, and he can't pull the wool over their eyes when they've got real easy evidence to look at. I was also wondering if this was the economy. As the economy gets rougher, it's going to also be harder for him to pull the wool over their eyes, because they might start getting angry. And then it's also kind of like, again, what's next? What other secrets are going to be revealed? Now, let us not forget that the survivors did mention Alan Dershowitz getting massages from them. And Dershowitz is like, I had my underwear on the whole time. Dude, you were getting massages from like 14-year-old girls. That is like ultra creepy. Ew. 14-year-old anybody's. Unless you're 14 or 15 years old yourself, that's pretty darn creepy. Not so creepy when they're your peers and you're discovering things. But as an adult, maybe in your 50s, ew. Or 40s, however old Dershowitz was back then. 30 years ago. Ew. Sorry, I should have given you a warning there for all you folks drinking your coffee. That sip didn't taste very good. MAGA. As this evidence comes out, what's the impact on the MAGA sphere? Or maybe more to the point, it's kind of more QAnon. They run in some similar circles, but I guess that's more the QAnon sphere, but it's both. His most ardent supporters, how do they handle seeing something like this that he absolutely said did not exist, and there it is? They're kind of like, there's that feeling of, they defended him for so long. They want to continue defending him, but it gets a little bit difficult when something like that just jumps right in your face. We've tied ourselves, we've tied our identity to you. And then there's all these survivors out there saying you did stuff, and we're believing you. But we're losing faith in you. How funny, these cards came up in the last one. Judgment. There's this stuff. Maybe Trump is right. Maybe he shouldn't have full-throated defended this. Maybe he should have said, yeah, I wrote him a birthday card, so what? It wouldn't be a big deal. But there's just like this judgment coming. And this leeriness of, okay, he's lost the E. Jean, he's sexual predator from E. Jean Carroll. And he said this birthday card didn't exist, but yet here it is. And you got all these survivors out there saying he did stuff to them when they were girls. Who am I believing? It's almost like that whole bit about don't believe your lying eyes and don't believe your lying ears type of thing. It's like for some of them, they're starting to come out of it. I realize that seems really, really unlikely, But that's just kind of how I'm interpreting the cards. Again, when the survivors release their list of names, you better believe the MAGAverse and the QAnon-verse, they're going to be all over that. And I think the other thing with that Nine of Wands is Trump, on the one hand, is saying that he's not in the Epstein files and there's no client list and yada, 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 yada. But then he's also saying it's a Democratic hoax. So which is it? They're starting to get confused. He can't keep the story straight, and they can't keep the story straight. But then they see this, and they hear those women talking. And those women are going to come up with the list. The women are going to deliver to them what they really want, even if Trump won't. This is a hard time. It just seems so irrelevant, but it seems rather key. Spirit, high level. What is it that what else can you share about this? About this whole little case here. What is it that I'm not asking? Answer the question I'm not asking. The walking away, the moving away, emotional moving away. Trying to get away from this. And there's more evidence going to be coming out. As more evidence comes out, it's almost like Trump knows he can't win. You know, Sterling in his broadcast was saying he still sees Trump leaving. And there's a lot of anxiety. It's almost like at some point, as this evidence comes out, he can't handle it. He's emotionally unavailable, intellectually unavailable, anxiety, stress. He wants to run. The things that he did in the dark are being exposed. And it's not, this is just the first of so many things that are queued up. He's avoided so many investigations. But it's, again, that when I was talking about his lying eyes, don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe your lying ears, they're believing what they're seeing. And the person who's telling him it's not there is Trump. And it's like, but it's right there. It's irrefutable. Smug merchant hopes, wishes, dreams fulfilled. This is lesson to be learned. It's almost like he's not there anymore. Is there somebody else that's going to take that place? Is this J.D. Vance? Is this a special prosecutor? Something's going on with this. Let's see where we're going here. Yeah, he wants to get away. I think this is just kind of like there's going to come a point where he realizes there's nothing worth saving, so you're going to have to cut bait and fish on because he's more concerned about what he wants. And then he leaves. You know, 6 of Swords, 8 of Cups. These are both cards of leaving. Anxiety. The anxiety versus his happiness. Worried about the Jack Smiths of this world coming for him as the evidence, secret evidence comes out, and more of it's coming out. Yeah. It's just, we always wonder what's going to drive him off, if it's going to be a health event, if he's going to die. It's wild to think that something like this would be the thing that sort of starts the think of the Bugs Bunny cartoons. You got the barrel of dynamite and you got the wick coming out, and you light the end of the wick and it's moving along. It's like this has started, this has lit it, and now it's really just a matter of time that before it hits the powder keg and explodes. I really do think that the survivors threatening to release the list of the Johns is really going to drive this case forward. That in MAGA calling their constituents, saying they want those files released. What else do I want to read on this one? There is an interesting bit that Dr. Lena has thrown out there, saying not only will the survivors name names, but they'll name their predilections. What is it that they asked for? Little girls, little boys, girls dressed up as animals, nurses, dominatrix, because, getting that level of detail makes it super creepy. It just brings a level of realness to it. Yeah. Anything else on this one? God, there's got to be something else. Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask about Bill. Is Bill Clinton also in trouble with this as well? Now, Bill Clinton's been named. I haven't seen that he's been accused of anything, but he hung around Epstein a lot in that same time frame. And, rich, powerful man, politically connected, wealthy. Monica Lewinsky was a young woman back then. She wasn't a child, but she was a young woman. How's Bill? Yeah, maybe I'll look at it this way. How is Bill Clinton doing right now, given everything that's being released with the Epstein survivors, this album for his birthday, and other things that are going to happen? How's Bill Clinton feeling these days? Queen of Swords. Well, if you did anything, if you didn't do anything, you have nothing to worry about. Star card, Death card, King of Swords card, Judgment. If he did something, I think basically if he did something and it got out there, it's the end of any type of career he had. It's going to kill his reputation being the star, and people will be, harsh truths, just like Trump had with his on his overarching card here. There's just going to be a harsh truth. Whether it's Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, or anybody else, anybody named in this is just going to be a brutal. The judgment will be swift and brutal. There's not going to be no redemption arcs in this one. If you're outed by these girls, hello, little kitty. Meow, she's hungry. Meow. If you've been outed in this, that's it. You're done. It's not, I don't want to say Salem witch hunt type of thing, because that's not the best analogy, but it's just one of those, they're not going to, if you're named, you've got a real uphill battle to save your reputation. Donald Trump wasn't wrong when he said, if you release the Epstein files, if somebody's named in there and they didn't do anything, their reputation could be ruined. That will absolutely be the case. However, in this case, the survivors of this would be able to corroborate names with events. I don't think this is going to be the antithesis of the Salem witch hunt. And I think that there's going to be a lot of reckoning coming from this. All from a birthday card. Who knew? Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.